Hey, it's Dujuan Thomas, and you're watching Dujuan Thomas Live, the live show that's pre-recorded. Make sure you stay tuned because we have an awesome episode lined up for you. Hey, Dujuan Thomas here, and like I said, we have a great episode lined up for you today. I'm so honored, and you know, this goes back years. I've been wanting to interview these guys, and this group of guys, it's a very special guest, and I want to introduce them, the Nappy Roots. We have Skinny Deville, B Stille, Fish Scales, and Ron Clutch with us today. So guys, thank y'all for coming. And you know, it's a small world out here because my uncle actually used to hang out with y'all back in Bowling Green days. Wow. And it's crazy, you know, here in Paducah, and used to hang out with such an iconic group.
Thank you for having us.
Oh yeah, for sure. And what I'd like to start with is this question right here. What inspired y'all, either as individuals or as a group, to even get into music? So we can start with you.
Yeah, my love for hip hop goes back to at least my early recollection about third grade. And Houdini was one of the first artists that I realized from like Funky Beat and Friends and One Love. That's what really got me into the game.
Awesome. B?
I remember getting kicked out of class for beatboxing and breakdancing and all of that stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then it was my music class, and then I was in the hallway, and then one of my homies came out and was like, "Be still, come back in here and dance for us, and they'll let you back in class." I said, "Man, play some music." And I went on in there and danced. Got back in, but I mean, hip hop has always been, you know, in the core of me ever since the beginning as a kid.
Awesome.
We've seen hip hop when it first hit TV, and like you just can't imagine what that did to kids who were first seeing Houdini, Run DMC, seeing all of these artists doing something on TV that we were amazed by, that we felt we could do. So years later, of course, we're gonna be rappers. Right. You know, it's hard not to be when you're influenced that much by what you've seen as a kid in the early '80s.
Awesome. Ron?
So man, everybody pretty much summed it up. But you know, I'm in my 40s, so I'm probably the same age as hip hop. So I remember, you know, somebody said earlier, I think it was Skinny, said Houdini. I remember rapping Duke, Daha Daha, Slick Rick, Ice-T. You know, so my love goes back, way back. But when I actually thought I could rap is when I got to college, so Western Kentucky University, and that's where we all met. But that's when when I heard Goody Mob, and I was like, okay, I like this right here. These sound like, you know, my cousins.
Close to home.
Close to home. Wow. And cause you know, growing up, it was like you had to be the coolest, or the hardest, the gangster, you know, to be a rapper.
Right.
And I was, you know, I was real chill, you know, as a youngster. But, you know, it's just a beautiful thing to be able to be a part of something that has literally changed the world, and it's still changing the world. So, you know, hip hop is, you know, it's America. Oh. It's the world, really. Hip hop is the world.
Definitely. And going back to your roots, you know, you started in Bowling Green. So what brought y'all together to even say, oh, we're going to start a group? Like, how did that even begin?
These two guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Going back to like what Clutch was saying about with Goody Mob, you know, and Outkast and the Dungeon Family and Organized Noise, and that era right there, like 95, 96. Me and Clutch met in 93. We've been, you know, kind of best friends since then. But around 95, as we was walking to class, and his idea was like, man, we should start a rap group, based off listening to Cell Therapy and listening to Outkast and seeing what they were doing, and looking at what Cash Money was doing at the time, and No Limit, and what Wu-Tang had been doing, and just these massive groups that were coming together to put out a collective of MCs and artists. And Kentucky didn't have really a voice and identity at that time, so we felt that it was natural for us to kind of build a collective of dope MCs. And so kind of what we did during that time was each year that there was another incoming class. It was another artist that, you know, was, you know, great at it, you know. So Scales came in 95, I believe. Stille, you came in 96 and 97, 97, and then me and Clutch was kind of just in and out. We got there at 93, but it just each year someone was just really good at what they were doing.
That's awesome.
And so my thought was like, if we take our time to do this, we could really make something good and not be a fly-by-night type of group.
Right.
And so time is really what made us who we are.
That's awesome. And so what came first, your individual names or the group name?
Well, nobody knew each other before this. This is the crazy story about Nappy Roots. Like, I knew his whole family.
Oh, wow.
And I never met him until I went to college. And I'm talking about I played Little League with his little brother and his sisters. I knew his mother, father. We'd go over his crib. That's how we met.
Wow.
The summer before I went to Western, I'm over chilling at his crib. No, he's at home. This is the first time he came back. And I'm going to the crib. And, I walk in, grab something out the refrigerator. I'm like, friend of the family. And I'm sitting down, and the whole time I see this dude staring a hole in me. Like, who is this dude in my house? And I'm looking at him like, I ain't never seen this guy. Who's this guy? Y'all must be a long lost cousin or something. And then I get to talking, and it's just like, he's the older brother. You know what I mean? And just to kind of give you some perspective, I mean, I was Be Stille like at 11 years old. I had been writing as a kid, you know what I'm saying? So I was all through high school, and his little brother went to school with me. So the whole time, I'm doing announcements, I'm rapping the announcements, I'm on the news, I'm doing my thing. And his little brother knew about me, so it's like when I was about to go to Western, it was already a buzz. This is a dude coming from my high school. Y'all should check him out. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Here goes my tape. And that's when we exchanged mixtapes.
Oh, wow.
And so before I even came to college, I already knew where I was about to be at. I was about to be in Nappy Roots.
Yeah.
So this was created before I even came. So, but everybody got their own story. We named ourselves before we met each other. So.
Yeah. Well, actually, though, I think. Nappy Roots inspired us to create these characters. Like,
that's true too.
When we all joined Nappy Roots, there was a need to, you have to. We were highly inspired by Goody Mob, but also Wu-Tang.
Oh yeah.
And Wu-Tang was all about characters.
Yeah.
And so when we formed when we joined Nappy Roots, each member, you kind of had to bring your character, and that inspired my name. My name was Big Mel, which I didn't think would work in the rap game. That turned into Fish Scales. You went from B. Scott to Be Stille. I'm telling their old names, so they might not like it. Son Spawn turned into Skinny Deville.
Yeah.
And Ron Clutch probably was the one. Well, he was Ron C.
Oh, okay.
My name was kind of baked in since birth. It was Clutches on my birth certificate.
Yeah.
But I was Ron C back in college, and there was already a Ron C. Shout out to Ron C out of Texas. So when I think it might have been Skinny, he gave me the paperwork. When we had to be official with our names, it was like, you need to get your name, what you want to be. And I was like, okay, man, I've been not hiding the name Clutch, but it was
unique.
It was unique. It was a lot. So I said, man, let me embrace this, man. I have to embrace it. So I'm still, living up to it.
And that's awesome. And y'all do have unique names, because nowadays all we see is Lil Baby, Lil something, Lil, all
it's
that.
It's the era. There was a time when everybody was MC so-and-so.
Right, that's true. That's true.
We big dudes. Well, Fish Scales is 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah.
I'm good too. I'm losing weight, but I'm 250. You know what I'm saying? I ain't little nothing about us. So.
Right. That's true. And so, the name of the group though, like, where did Nappy Roots originate?
I mean, Nappy Roots is our unwillingness to change, as to not go with the fads. And Nappy is just us sticking together, and the roots is something that you don't really see. It's below the surface.
Right.
And so our willingness to change and do what other things are that are trendy, and us sticking together as brothers, and just through the test of time, the roots is what makes the trunk of the tree. And the tree, when it gets strong enough, you can put a house on top of it, you can put a swing on it. You can do all things with a tree that grows in the right way. And so we've just been growing, and just as we gotten older, just getting stronger and stronger as brothers. And I'm a family as a unit. And at the beginning of it, it was the roots. But again, there was nothing you saw when we were starting in college. We didn't want you to really see that part. That was the seed. But as we put out multiple albums and many mixtapes, and you know, had a lot of trials and tribulations, successes and whatnot, and raised kids. You know, now we are the trunk and the tree that's allowing us to have different limbs that are allowing us to raise this brand that we have now.
I looked it up because, you know, I use Spotify. Y'all have 1 million people every month that tune into your music. And what goes through your head when you hear that so many years later?
And we're blessed, you know, because it can only be 10 people.
Right.
You know, we have a saying, whether it's 10 or 10,000, we're going to do our job and go hard.
Wow.
And but, you know, that's because we've been at it for 20 years, you know, and we've had records that a lot of people don't know about, you know, but thank the Lord and the higher creator that we've had music that people do relate to by just doing those same things and keeping it nappy to our roots and not trying to do what's happening this year or happening this season. You know, we've been really tried and tested at just making the music that's true to us. And so our music has a great motivational value to it. Some of it's very positive, but some of it is very realistic. And we just try to keep it as reality rap as best we can. And I think that's the reason why 1 million people on Spotify connect. But you look at Pandora, you look at iTunes, you look at all the other streaming platforms, and we still have a long way to go to get people to acknowledge who we are. And, you know, now it's TikTok, and there's other mediums that people are listening and finding out and discovering music. And so we still have a long way to go. You know, we really want to go to a higher level with our music and consciousness. And we're still on our way there.
Definitely.
Well said.
Do you think it's easier now than when you started with how there's social media and all this, like to promote your music, or
No.
it's not?
There's a
Okay.
lot more competition, that's for sure.
Well, yeah.
it's much
Oversaturated. Do you think it's oversaturated market?
Yeah, well, it was that then when we started, but it was a gatekeeper. It's called A&Rs and a record label. And when we started, you had to go to a record label, and you had to have an A&R find you and discover you and work your way up through the marketing. And now through TikTok, you have a lot of bedroom MCs that can just upload it right into the platform, and you know, a couple things happen for them, and then now they're the most successful artists for now. But that right now doesn't mean they're going to be successful next year. And we have a label, and we have artists that we're working with, and I want to make sure that they are going through the rigors and they're going through the gauntlet to make them established artists for a longer period of time than just what's hot right now, because what's hot right now might not be hot next year.
True.
And to be a successful artist and have a career, you need to look at your career versus just a hot single right now. And so I think it's easier to get known, but it's harder to fight through and sift through all the noise that's out there on the bottom level. There's 1 million people trying to be an artist, but there's only 100,000 that might have a shot. And there's only 10 that actually make it to an actual successful career.
Definitely.
And in between that is a lot of leeway that you can still build a career and take care of your family and have recurring royalties every month that you can survive on. You can do that for years and years and years, and you know, you can have your own stable of artists and brand. It's about brand building more than just having a hot record, in my opinion.
Definitely. And so you were with Atlantic Records at one point, and now you're independent and have your own label.
Correct.
So like, what made y'all decide to go independent?
So Nappy Roots was independent in the beginning.
Okay, yeah.
So a lot of people don't know this, like in Bowling Green, when we all met up, when we all went to school, we established the first black-owned record shop and studio.
Wow.
Right off campus, where we were selling everybody who was hot in the early 2000s. So the Master P's, the Cash Moneys, and you know, the list goes on and on. So we would have them in our store, and then on the other side of that store, the group, we was in there making music. So we was cooking on one side and serving on the other side. So we'll cook up some music and then put the CD. Yeah, we were selling CDs. A lot of people don't know what a CD look like these days.
Right.
But we would put them in the store amongst the other popular music and learn how to market our own stuff.
Right.
And I mean, so that's where we started, and we all was like, there's no labels running to Kentucky to sign artists.
Right.
So we were just gonna be independent in the beginning. It just so happened we got a 60-page record contract slapped faxed to us.
Wow.
You know, in school, in college, when we were still in college. So other than that, we would have definitely still been on this independent grind for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see, like recently Meek Mill, I think he's leaving Rock Nation, and his explanation was he wanted to take his own risk.
Right.
You know, and losses too, whatever come with taking your own risk. And we're grown men. Like, we came into the game in our mid-20s. We were signed to Atlantic. And at some point, like, as businessmen, you want to take your own risk. Like, you want to put you want to take your own chances. And if you're not doing a joint venture with a major label, like you're kind of just signed to them at their mercy. So, you know, we wasn't on a joint venture. We were signed as artists. We were at the mercy of whenever they wanted to put our music out, they could or not. Yeah. You know, so we'd rather take our chances and take the fame that we created from Watermelon Chicken and Grits and Wood and Leather and see if we could take that and build on it on our own. Right. And I think it's working out good for us. You know, awesome. We started our label in 2008 independently, officially, as well as what Stille just said. We was doing it in the 90s, but we officially did it in 2007 or 2008. And it's been working well for us. You know, awesome. We have a record, Good Day, that we own that has done a lot for us.
Definitely. And then talking about branding, y'all have your own brand out now, like a clothing line, correct? Or
we make our own clothes. I mean, Nappy Roots, we tour with our stuff. We got a clothing line in Kentucky called Bird Gang, associated with the University of Louisville as well. So, but we're branching out. I mean, Nappy Roots got our hands in everything: clothes, beer, hemp.
Working on a television show.
Anything we can.
Beer, you know. The brand is more important for us, and the branding is something we realized early on, like what Scales was mentioning. When we went independent, is like, the goal is to own your masters and have a say in when your songs come out, and not have someone who doesn't care about you and your brand dictate, because, you know, now it's likes and views, but back then it was something else. You know, it was the marketing department. It didn't test well with radio. And it's like, you know, we're not going to be held to mercy because we're trying to do something different, or we're trying to do what we've been doing the whole time consistently. And so the brand Nappy Roots Entertainment Group and our label Not Regular, and our Atlantucky Brewery, and our Bird Gang clothing line, and our 40 Acres in a Brew television show that we're working on, those things are important to us. Well, you can only do that if you have control of yourself and where you're trying to go. If you let someone else do that just because they're throwing a bunch of money at you, it's not always about the money. You want to wake up and go to sleep at night at peace with yourself, knowing I worked hard that night. I didn't do anything negative. I didn't rob, steal, kill, deceive anybody to make what I need to take care of my family, because nothing good comes from doing something negative. But positive thoughts give you positive results, and we as a family, again, keeping it nappy to the roots, believe in that. And so we're building brands here, and that's something that's going to stand the test of time.
And two, to add to that, we're consumers. Like, we buy clothes and we do everything everybody else do, but then it comes to a point where it's just like, man, they don't got what I like, so we make it. The beer don't taste like I want it to taste, so we make it. You know what I'm saying? The artists don't be performing like we want them to perform, so we train and develop these artists. So shout out to Sunday. But you know, it's just like we just want to be the change that we want to see, and that's it. That's what we've been doing since day one.
Awesome.
And real quick, and being with a major label, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, like, you're really at the mercy of whether they want to keep you or not. You know, like, if you don't perform exactly how they want you to, they can cut you at any time. Just like sports. Like, if you're not performing at the level or even just you're not the type of person they want, they can cut you. And you know, independently, nobody can cut us. Like nobody, like, we are in full control. And if it don't work, then we know who to blame. It's us, you know.
I will say this though, we was fortunate enough to, like we said, we came in the game independent, and then, you know, we linked up with Atlantic. So we got the beauty of being with a major, you know, putting you on Letterman and putting you on Leno, and then we were fortunate enough to come back to independent. So that's like, you know, that's I would say rare and fortunate. I keep going back to that because that's a beautiful thing right there, to be able to experience both sides of it and then come back to this side, like I think Scale said, you know, where you got full control of your situation. You take all the praise, you take all the blame, but ultimately that's what you want to do as an artist. You want to have creative freedom, and you know, that's the American dream.
And honestly, we're thankful for Atlantic. We're thankful, very thankful.
And so, it seems like y'all have learned a lot, you know, over the years. So, I got this question. What advice could you give to, the 1990s Nappy Roots, like to that group back then? What would y'all tell yourselves back then, what you've learned from now?
Wow.
I know it's probably a lot.
I wouldn't say much because it worked.
Right.
I want to change what worked if I can go back. But I would just tell myself, man, just be confident in what you're doing. Believe in Nappy Roots. And stick with, that's the same thing that we did anyway. Like, just stick. I wouldn't change a thing, man. Mm-hmm. That's how beautiful our story has been.
Yeah.
I like what you said, man, because feeding yourself, like if I could go back to my younger self and I would just be like, trust yourself.
Yeah.
You good. You about to be straight. Just trust yourself and stay on that path. So that's some good advice, man, for anybody out there watching. But that's big, what you just said.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I would have said learn how to make beer earlier.
Right.
I learned how to make beer in my 40s, but if I'd have knew that I was going to end up, making beer and having a brewery, I would have tried to learn that in my 20s. Because learning beer is a very steep uphill learning curve.
Right.
But if I'd have learned that then I'd be 15 years in the game I'd be, really great at beer because that's something I really, really like. And I didn't know that until we really got into making beer, but that's my other second passion other than making music. And running a record label too, like I would have tried to been more open to some of the artists that we came across back then, as I was just like, nah, I'm focused on us. I'm really just trying to get this out the way right and correct. But now that I'm gotten older, I'm like, I need to take this talent and what we've learned and help somebody else out.
Right.
And we've had a lot of people that came through our doors that we could have helped out early on. Like, Stille had access to Bryson Tiller early on. His father was managing Bryson Tiller.
My father was Bryce's first manager.
I remember when Stille said, "Yo, Jack Harlow, remember this guy? He's about to do big things." And I was like, yeah, whatever, white boy, whatever. And I didn't really pay attention to these opportunities that we could have had to help these artists back then. But these artists have blown up. And not that they owe us anything. We all came from the same place, but if we could have helped them maybe not go through some of the pitfalls they went through, maybe they would have blown up faster. Right. And I think a lot of talent comes out of Kentucky that I probably have turned my nose up or head focused on ourselves that I could have been more open to and receptive to. So just doing things earlier than what I'm figuring out now because I'm stubborn and I'm hard-headed, and if I don't do it my way, it doesn't get done, and just being open and being more receptive to that.
This is the first time he ever said this out loud. That's crazy.
Hey man, you get older, you get wiser. I'm still humble, but I mean what I say every time I do it, but I put my all into everything that I do. And I just think if I would have learned some of these things in my 20s and be more responsible and receptive to it, then I don't know. We probably could have still been here. Maybe we would have been higher. I don't know. I don't know.
Ron, you got some?
I would say, and it's kind of outside of music, but I would say, if you're having a windfall, take that money and invest it and spread it and diversify to where, there's been downtimes in music to where when Napster hit, like that took a big chunk out of Nappy's sales and that whole situation. So, diversify, take your money, invest it. And because music right now, I feel like I'm at a point in my career where, music is we're always gonna, try our best to get in the studio and record and document our life, basically.
Yeah.
So now it's about what else are you putting in your life that you can document and put on this platform. I love it. We making beer. Shout out to man, what's the spot we just left?
Paducah Beer Works.
Paducah Beer Works. They got some good beer there. These guys inspired me to start brewing beer. I was more into growing and doing stuff like that. I won't get too deep into that, but the brewing the beer, that is like Skinny said, man. It's a science. I like the science of it, but it's also beer is like music. It makes people happy.
Yeah.
Them two things go together. So this is like a
very eerily similar. Very eerily
You
similar.
can give people a feeling with the beer, just like with the music too.
Right. And speaking of that, making people happy, I could tell that y'all are, real close-knit and, joyous people, because before we even got to film and they took over the show for a minute and they were hosting Dujuan Thomas Live. And I guess y'all have just been together over all these years, like,
Yeah, man.
and
over
growing.
25 years.
The one thing I like to say, man, is I always feel at home no matter where Nappy Roots travels. And I mean, we could be in Germany, Italy, somewhere, you know, wherever. But we always bring the core with us. So it's like we always at home, and people end up coming to our world no matter where we go. So I love that, man.
Definitely. And then to wrap it up here in a second, I never can not ask this question. What advice could you give to aspiring artists? I know y'all gave some great advice even with your own selves, but what is, you know, a little bit of advice you could give to aspiring artists that are coming up these days?
I mean, have a vision, man. Have a plan for what you want, because if you don't, someone else will make it for you. And don't let anyone tell you can't do it, because if they tell you can't do it and it stops there, then what's the point? You know, you got to follow through, but you got to be patient. You know, slow and steady wins the race. You know, everybody wants to be a microwave artist, and that's right now, but your meal is over. Think about Thanksgiving, how long it takes to prepare that meal. And that's how you want your career to be. You want to take the time and invest your energy the right way and have a team and get a team that believes in you, because we wouldn't be able to do this without each other, but our team and staff that believes in us. We have some people that have been working with us for over 15 years and they're still with us, and loyalty is everything. And so if you don't have any of those things, it's going to be an uphill battle regardless. But, you know, dedication and patience is the main things that I would say to any artist that's trying to get into the game.
Definitely. That's some good stuff.
Yeah. I would say that as an artist, I mean, you know, we are very sensitive about our music, but I think that you need a team around you that's going to tell you the real, you know, give you what you need, and support you. And then as far as yourself goes, study you. Learn who you are, learn who you don't want to be, learn who you do want to be. And then find that area, stick in that, figure out how you can relate to people who are like you, and give them what they want to hear. You know what I'm saying? And focus on what's strong with you. If you're a strong writer, focus on that and go hard with that, and then work on your weaknesses or disguise them. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
Fish scale?
Just very tactical, man. Like, just really save your money.
Yeah.
I don't care where you work right now or how you make your money, but if you want to be a big artist, save up money. Like, you can almost do anything in the world if you have some money to get it started. And nobody may not give you that money. So if you're working at McDonald's, take a portion of your check, save it for studio time, for marketing dollars, and immediately you'll be ahead of so many other people who are not doing that part. Save your money, put it towards Facebook ads, $50 a month.
Yeah.
You will be surprised what that gets you.
Yeah.
$50 a month. That'll take you from here to here. When other people are just sitting around saying I can rap or I can sing, nobody really cares. Do you have followings and likes?
Definitely.
And $50 to Facebook, $50 to Instagram, you'll be shocked.
Definitely.
At what that gets you.
Ron?
I would say, you know, be true to yourself. You know, don't try to get on what's hot, because, you know, especially with social media, trends come every day. There's a new, different trend. And you might hit and get on, you know, but you might not. You know, I like to say I think that the risk is, you know, there's so many artists out here. The platform is wide open, so it's like, okay, the odds of you getting on is ain't the best. So be true to what you're doing, and the fans that you get, you know, they're gonna accumulate, they're gonna build, and, you know, start with your area, you know, whether it's physically, people in your neighborhood, and then your followers. As long as you focus on them, and you get feedback from them, and they telling you what you like, and it drives with what you like and what you're doing, and build it, you know, fan at a time. And, you know, 500 fans that can feed you. You know, 1,000 fans, if they hardcore fans and they buying everything that you putting out, shirts, music, supporting everything you're doing, then that's, hey, right there, you know.
Or just move to Texas and just sell your music strictly to Texans. and you go platinum for sure.
There you go.
Every time.
Well, hey, I want to thank the Nappy Roots for coming on today. Great answers, great advice. I appreciate y'all. And make sure y'all check out all their music. Go check them out. These guys are doing awesome stuff all around the world, you know.
Yeah.
So thank y'all again, and I want to thank y'all for watching. Make sure you tune in next time. Got more guests coming, and this has been Dujuan Thomas Live, the live show that's pre-recorded.